Hello and welcome to this episode of what I am loosely calling Mr. Bramz Monday. I'm here with Mr. Bramz.
Hello, how you doing?
Good man, good. First things before we get into the show. I unfortunately have a cold, so you might hear my voice being a little bit weird or stuffy or nasally today. I do apologise, but this is the only day Mr. Bramz and I have scheduled for this recording, so I kind of have
Yes.
to do it unwell. The second thing I'd like to bring up is I may pull the curtain back a little bit on YouTubing. I may have footage up where I'm not doing an awful lot, and that is because the PlayStation 4 is doing its usual nonsense of it wanted me to update Rainbow Six Siege, which is what we were going to kind of play today. But it needed like 30 odd gigabytes of space in order to do the update. Incredibly annoying.
Oh, absolutely.
Uh, we were just saying this, weren't we? Like, who has double the space of their game to do an update? Like, most of the time, the updates are like 1 gigabyte, but I have to have 30 gigabytes of space free in order to do a 1 gigabyte update.
No way.
What are Sony thinking? Like, what is that nonsense about?
That's very
Um,
true.
I find that incredibly weird and annoying. But that brings me on to something else. Did you do the update recently for the
Uh,
PlayStation
I
software?
I did indeed, yes.
Did you notice that they are now trying to capture more and more data from your machine?
Yes,
Or
I
did you just
did.
blast past
No, I
the
did
thing?
read it. Like, data, I read that part. I was like, okay, what does this mean? And
I mean,
apparently, they're gonna be
to
capturing
set
more data.
this is the thing though. Like, it may sound very Orwellian of me, and I may sound like a nutcase wearing a tinfoil hat or something. But why do they need to they actually use the word need as well. They need to capture more data. It's like, why do they need to capture more data? Why do they need to know what websites I'm visiting? Why do they need to know what games I'm playing? Why do they need to know what I'm looking at in their store? Like, surely if they're worried about what's selling, they look at the sales of what's sold, not what I'm looking at.
No.
That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, it just, and to say they need the data, it's like, you don't need the data. You might want it, but there's a difference between need and wants. Um, and I find that really quite scary, the fact that more and more companies now are sort of saying, if you use our services, we're going to literally capture every click you make and everything you type in. Not that it bothers me because I don't do anything particularly unsavoury, but I find it weird that they want to. Like, why do they need to capture that much data?
Yeah, it's getting quite scary. It's like if they're trying to build their own, AI. It's crazy. Like for example, like all the other AIs out there, they got the Google Home, you got the Amazon, which I'm not gonna say the name of, otherwise, it's gonna
Mm.
wake up. So yes, there are all these speakers out there that are so intelligent. Do you think Sony's trying to do the same? I doubt it though, because they have different products from these other companies. Why would they need so much data for gamers? Could this be for the next generation of consoles?
I honestly, it seems to me like it's either a government initiative, and I'm going to say it's the American government, that they kind of want to capture more what gamers are doing because for whatever reason there's a stigma attached to gaming, and they seem to think that gamers are the ones that go off the rails and start shooting people in America and whatever else. So whether they want to try and build a profile of players to see like what sort of games you're playing, what sort of websites you're visiting, and seeing if they can somehow build a dossier on you of like, this guy is going to all the gun shops websites, he's playing all gun games, let's stick him on a list and watch him. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
Like, I
that
just don't know
could
if
be.
that's
Okay, to be
kind
fair
of the
though,
idea.
like games and violence have nothing to do with it. Nothing. There's no
Of
relation or
course,
correlation imaginable.
of course not.
And simply because you play shooters doesn't mean you are a shooter yourself. I mean, me
The,
personally, I enjoyed the shooting genre so much simply because, you know, I can do what I want, and it's something that I can't do in real life, and something that I will never will do in real life. It's just, pretty weird that people thinking, oh, gaming is affecting society. Shooting games are bad for kids. I mean, of course, they're 18 plus. So if games, go to audiences that are 18 and above, where they should be, uh, you know, I don't think they would say that as much, but because it's reaching kids 12, 15, and this sort of things happens, they say, oh, gaming has done it. And also, you shouldn't blame games for something that only a kid or two, has ever, done. So I really don't understand this sort of correlation between gaming and the violence in society.
it's it's the same play as that's been going on for years. Like back in the sort of like 60s, people blamed music for underage pregnancy and bad behaviour. They said the lyrics were telling their kids to go and do stupid things.
Oh,
When television became bigger and they started blaming television shows for the way that children acted, when movies became a really big thing, they were blaming movies for influencing children and the things they do. Then when the internet came along, the internet's still being blamed to this day for the way children are. Computer gaming is now the next biggest medium. It's one of the biggest mediums in the world now.
oh
Now they're
yeah,
blaming computer games because parents don't want to take responsibility for their own children.
that
Like
sounds about right.
horrible cases like the Jamie Bolger incident, which happened many years ago now, where they blamed the film Child's Play because these kids had watched it. But no one ever turned around, like everyone blamed the film got re-edited, recut, banned, all sorts of things happened to the film, but nothing happened to the parents who let two underage children have access to an 18 film.
I know, right? Yeah.
Like, where's the blame there? Why weren't the parents arrested for allowing their children to see under like a film that's well beyond their years and they shouldn't be watching? Instead, a film studio has to lose income and whatever else because they decide to ban a film that they made, and it's all because two kids out of like millions that probably saw it underage decided to go and murder another child. Like
And
it's just
and the funny thing is that
bizarre.
when you go into a game shop, right, and there's underage sort of teens, you see them with their parents, and the parents, buy the games. Are you sure you want this? Yeah, and the kid is only like 10-year-old, and yeah, he's getting GTA, he's getting Call of Duties, and all this and all that, and you know that these games are, 18 plus, 16 plus for a mature
No,
audience.
I was in a shopping centre a few years back now because I used to work in a shopping centre,
Mm-hmm.
and I went into the game because I was always in there, and there was I was standing in the queue, and there was a woman there with like you say like a 10-year-old or something,
Yeah.
and they were buying a Call of Duty, and there was a young lad, he could only have been about 20, I reckon, behind the counter, and she handed it over to him, and he looked at her and he looked at her child and said, "Is this for him?" And she said, "Yes, it is." And he said, "Do you realise this is an 18 game? It's meant for 18-year-olds." And she turned around and said, "But it's a computer game." And he said, "Yes, but it's been classified an 18. It's really for 18-year-olds to play." And she said, "Oh, well, it doesn't matter. That's what he wants." And
Yeah.
the guy behind the desk then said, "Okay, that's fair enough, but I just need to warn you that this is a violent game and is meant for 18-year-olds." And she was just like, you keep going. She actually turned around to him and said, "You keep going on about this. It's fine. It's just a computer game. It's the one he wants." And in the end, the guy was like, "Fine," and he rung it through and gave it to her because there's no law on the like with films. You can't sell 18s to underage children. But with
Mm-hmm.
computer games, it's just an advisory. Um, but this woman actually stood there, even though the guy had enough responsibility, enough, whatever, to turn around to the woman and say, you do realise you're buying an 18-year-old
I
game for
know.
a child. And she basically just ignored all of the warnings, ignored all of whatever, because her child wanted to play it or wanted to own it. and this is the thing. It's like, well, I'm sorry, but that if that child ends up a delinquent and in prison, it's all down to the mother, not down to the game or what's in the game or whatever else. Because there are plenty of people out there that are able to play games and not then become violent, sadistic murderers. And I'm sorry, but I am not one of these people who believes that, you know, the minority should. If you've got 3 billion people buying Call of Duty and only 10 of them, 100 of them go out and murder people, then that's not a statistic. That's like a drop in the ocean as far as I'm concerned for the amount of people who have played it and walked away normally. But you know, that's just irresponsible people and the irresponsible nature. But unfortunately, parents don't want to take responsibility for how their children turn out. So they're always looking at what are their kids doing. Like if their child was sat there playing with My Little Pony and then went and murdered people, I'm sure they'd start looking into My Little Pony.
No, of course.
You know, what are these little ponies teaching their children? Because it's certainly not their parenting that screwed it up. Excuse me. But yeah, like you know, weird and wonderful kind of situation.
Yeah,
with
but
that.
it's just crazy what's happening. You know, there's all these things, and as you said, the parents, you know, don't really want to take responsibilities. And you know, they're your own children. For example, I can give you some personal experience because I have a younger brother who also plays the PS4, but you know, he's only has access to specific games. For example, all my mature games, they're well hidden, so he doesn't get access to them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, that's, you know, something that they should have. But of course, some families only have a child or two, and they're all both young, same age, no adult. You know, so they're like, oh, so if that's what he wants, that's what he's gonna get. Okay, that's the sort of mentality.
It's the irresponsible nature behind it. Like, it's just when you see parents, I don't know, running across the road with their child when the light's not red. You're just teaching that child to run across the road when the light's red, kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
It's irresponsible. It's annoying to have to stand and wait and whatever else, but it's safety. And that's the thing is, you want the government to keep your kids safe. You want the society to keep your kids safe, but you don't have to. It seems like it's everyone else's fault around you. Like if you get run over, it's the driver's fault. It's not the fact you stepped out in front of them. Like it's that everyone's always blaming everyone else. No one ever takes any personal responsibility for what happened. No one goes, oh well, you know, it was my fault. I ran out in the road and got hit. It's like I ran out in the road and he didn't stop fast enough.
Yeah.
It's just, it's bizarre. People are so entitled and so selfish. It's really unreal. And besides all that, anyway, I still don't think 18-year-old games would affect children in an adverse way anyway, for the most part.
Absolutely not.
I watched films that were well beyond my years. I played games well beyond my years. Obviously, that's personal experience bias, and I can't judge the entire world by how I reacted, because that's exactly what they're doing. You know, in the opposite direction. It's just the same argument. So I won't make it, but it does seem bizarre to me that a lot of children don't end up psychopaths from playing computer games. You know, Barack Obama did start a study. I never saw the outcome of that study, but being as I've not heard it in the news, I imagine they found no correlation whatsoever between playing video games and how violent children become or are off the back of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure like it has no correlation. In fact, one of my final major project, you know, because I'm doing my dissertation, it'll be about that, you know, games and violence, you know, like how there is no correlation, how, you know, just because one person, you know, I don't know, it just feels weird, you know, just because one person commits a crime doesn't mean that everyone else is a criminal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, the thing is, a weird thing for me is the thing that makes me most angry and thus most violent, because usually violence comes from anger, is the other people online. It's human beings. It's not the game.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to shoot people because I want to shoot people. I just get really angry with the people I'm playing with because they're idiots. Goddamn idiots.
Yeah, that's a good reference.
If you don't know what we're talking about, you have to go back to our Battlefield 1 videos where this brilliant guy somehow interjected into our conversation. We don't know how to this day. He was just genius. He was absolutely genius. And I love that video more than any other video we've ever done.
That's true. That was very entertaining. So make sure you go check it
But
out.
anyway, we are probably about halfway through this podcast and haven't really touched on what we kind of started on. So we were going to talk about Rainbow Six Siege.
Rainbow Six Siege, indeed.
Talking about violent 18-year-old games. We were going to discuss. Well, we're going to discuss a lot of things, but its rising popularity, and
very true.
How that's come about. So, in my research, I went onto the Steam statistics page, and you can access those online. Steam is a far more accurate representation, apparently, of player figures. Like PlayStation and Xbox don't actually do a very good job of logging, although maybe now PlayStation do, because they've just updated their data.
Yeah.
But according to the Steam numbers, in December 2015, when one assumes that they released, their average player base was 7,941 people.
And that's on PC?
That's on PC, yeah.
Okay.
As of the last 30 days, it is now, the average amount of players is 73,736. So that is a tenfold increase.
That's crazy. And that's PC alone. That's PC alone.
So,
wow.
In the space of a game getting 3 years older, which usually means its player base goes down.
Exactly.
Rainbow Six has somehow managed to power its audience by 10 over that period of time. So that's pretty amazing.
It is indeed.
I will try and put the graphs and statistics up for people to see. Hopefully you'll see that in the video. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I might try and get the statistics up on screen for you guys in the video. But yeah, like, just totally bizarre. So, what do we think's behind this?
Now, first of all, it's the fact that the game, like at first, I was one of the people that I was like, okay, I'm gonna get this game. I didn't get it first day or at launch. I just got it a few days later, and I was watching gameplay. I was like, dude, I love Search and Destroy. I love the mechanics. I'm like, this sounds like a goldmine to me. I got the game, and the game was like, hold up, where's the campaign? Where's the campaign? I was like, okay, there's missions, I'll do those, but there's only so much you can get from that. And then I went into multiplayer, and multiplayer at first was like, okay, there's a bit of getting used to, because it's not the fast-paced, Call of Duty I'm used to. It's more of a, calm, but very tactical game. And unfortunately, at first people didn't like this because it didn't have much. People were saying, oh, the game didn't come with a lot, there's not much to do. But I think as the time went through and Ubisoft was listening to the community, that people started joining. And,
Can you hold up a second?
Of course.
Are you getting like a break in the line?
I am not.
So you keep breaking up for me, and I keep getting another voice coming in saying hello to me. So I don't know if we're somehow getting some crossover again, where I'm getting some other dude kind of.
Seriously?
Yeah. You were breaking up through what you were saying, and then just voice coming and goes hello. I don't know if this is going to come up in the video, so I apologise if that is happening.
That's really weird.
Why that is happening.
How did that happen?
My party is private, and I'm not actually in a game, so I don't know how it's happening.
Me neither. I'm not in a game. Private is party. I mean, party is private.
I would just like to apologise. So carry on with what you're saying, but I apologise to any viewers if there's any disruption with the video.
But yeah, what I was getting on is that yes, Ubisoft is listening to the community, and they now release the season pass for year 3, which is the third concurrent year that they having this game up and running. Usually, as you said, people don't care about games, after a while because, they start dying out, no more DLCs coming out. But this one is still pumping out stuff for it, which is quite crazy. And plus the mechanics of the game, which allow you to destroy worlds and, play a different sort of map every time. I think sort of makes the games different. And plus the game, it's fun as a whole, especially if you play like with the team. If you play by yourself, there's only so much fun you can have. But if you play as a duo or a full squad, you can get some real fun after this. That's for sure. But I think that as people saw people playing the game, saying, you know what, that's actually not that bad after all. But I saw this, because even I had friends. And we'll come in the evening and play some games. I'll be like, hey guys, I'm gonna go and play some Rainbow Six Siege. It's like, what is Rainbow Six Siege? What do you do? It's like, yeah, it's just like search and destroy. You destroy worlds. Play tactically as a team to destroy the other, kill or eliminate the other team. Like, oh, okay, doesn't sound much, but okay. And then, it got to the point where, like, you know what? I've seen gameplay of it. I want to try it. And, my friends, before I was the only one owning the game, then all my friends started having it. And I just saw the game grow, to be fair, quite drastically.
Yeah, I mean, from my own personal experience, when I saw the game advertised, I thought it looked amazing. Like they were doing the breaching, which no one had ever really, I say no one had ever done. I hadn't seen it personally.
Yes.
And they were kind of doing this tactical gameplay of like one breach from one side, one breach from the other side. Someone was going in through the skylight, and obviously the video was set up so that the 3 or 4 people that were doing the presentation video were obviously all set to do this exact thing, and it looked really, really cool.
I know.
And I thought to myself, amazing, that would be fantastic. So months and months passed, and I kind of forgot about the game, and then I happened to watch someone playing it, and I realised the same thing as what happens with all multiplayer games, which is you don't get 4 or 5 individuals that kind of join together and go, right, I'll breach from this door, I'll breach from that door, you do this, you do that, and then you kind of have that, what like happened in that presentation video. You basically get some kid spinning around outside firing his gun in the air, you get someone else just charges the building, blows the door off and kills everybody in there by himself. You don't even, I don't even see people using the breaching charges for the most part. People just knock a hole in a door and walk through it.
Yeah.
And I find that really bizarre in the fact that all the mechanics they've put into being able to breach the building and do the bits and pieces are kind of undermined by allowing you quick access by just knocking in a couple of boards and then going in that way. So I kind of felt that Rainbow Six wasn't much for me. You kept going on about it, and then the price drop is really, I think, what did it for me, and maybe that's what did it for a lot of players.
That's very true.
Because there's no campaign, like you mentioned, because there isn't much apart from search and destroy. There's not even like a deathmatch game, which they could easily slip in. They could just go, okay, we built Rainbow Six Siege as a building siege game, but here's a couple of maps for you just to shoot each other on. They could, installate a deathmatch into this. Or any of the other kind of usual first-person shooter games, like an actual search and destroy for bombs outside and bits and pieces.
Absolutely, yeah.
But they haven't, and they've stuck with, their whatever. And it is working out for them. So apparently, this now has 16 maps and 30 operators.
That's very true. However, does the number 16 sound a lot to you for a game that has been released now for 3 years?
It does and it doesn't. I mean, like, you look at... I'm gonna take Call of Duty because it was the mainstay of first-person shooters.
Of course.
Oh, by the way, just a side note, if you like Call of Duty and you want a sort of semi-rip-off, there's a game called Black Squad. It is free to play on the PC.
Oh, very true.
It's Steam. Basically, it looks exactly like Call of Duty. But anyway, so Call of Duty kind of set up first-person shooters, and they kind of did it in a certain way. And now Rainbow Six has obviously tried to do something different with first-person shooters, but you kind of always end up linking them back together. Now you look at Call of Duty's original map release, and it was maybe like 8 maps, and then they sold you 3 maps in a map pack, another 3 maps in a map pack, and that was it. They only did 2 DLC releases for like Call of Duty 4, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then they started doing 5 maps in a map pack with the others, but they were like 3 new maps and 2 old maps that had been re-energized or whatever. And then they moved on to releasing, I think, like 3 maps in a zombie game or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at something like Call of Duty, and one of the flag bearers of first-person shooters, and they don't actually have that many maps either. So it seems like developers aren't interested in maps. Like, they're just not bothered about giving you the variety in maps. They'd rather give you gun skins and stuff you can buy.
Oh yes, of course. But in a way, do you think? But in a way, do you think that the maps are not made as as much because they want you to learn the maps and how to play them?
No, I think, and again, I could be wrong, but you and I have both done a little bit of game development, and we are currently working on our own game.
Yes.
Now, the thing I find is like, okay, I kind of started doing all the movement, the gun aiming, the gun shooting, stuff like that. But I'm running around in an empty map, and the reason I'm running around in an empty map is because it's actually really difficult to build a map, because you kind of got to go, okay, you can't just plonk buildings down here and ever and go, that's a map. You've got to think about if you're creating channels, if you're creating crossfire, if you're creating something interesting,
Absolutely.
how many staircases the buildings have, how many windows they have, where those windows face. If they face out to another wall, what's the point in having them, kind of thing. So you've got to really think about map design, whereas, skin colour, you just go, okay, well, I'll give them a blue jacket with a red flare on it, and then I'll do that exact same jacket, but I'll do green with purple on it or something.
Yeah.
Like, cosmetic stuff is far easier generally to design and push out, because it's the same gear, just a different colour for the most part.
Yeah.
If I throw back to Fortnite, just very briefly, as we touched on it last time, they released a skier. I don't know if you saw it, a skier skin. And you could do it. You could buy like the French version, the Canadian version.
Oh
the British version.
yeah. Because that's what's happening at the moment. Yeah.
It's the exact same skin, just reskinned. So it's
With
just
a different flag on it. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, if I'm British, I want to buy the British flag, and I appreciate the fact the British flag exists for me to buy over a Canadian flag or an American flag. So I get that they did it for each kind of country so that people could buy and support their own flag. But it is a cheap kind of way of just pushing out 7 new bits of content.
Oh, no.
You just recolour it to the colour of the country and stick a flag on it. Like, Britain's mostly blue and white, and with a bit of red. Boom. Canada's red and white. Boom. Like America's red, white, and blue. Boom. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's easier to do. Whereas building a whole new map, like Fortnite has added a few bits and pieces to their map, but they're not dropping that content. Like, they're not improving the map anywhere near as much as they're improving their.
Oh, that's for sure. That's for sure.
And I truly believe it is because map design takes a lot more effort and a lot more skill, because you've got to have a model builder to build models. You've got to have textures done. You've then got to actually, like I say, make sure it works within the world that you've built, and so on and so forth. So I imagine maps are much harder to come by.
Yeah, for sure.
Than anything else. And plus, you've got to playtest them an awful lot. Like skins, you don't really have to playtest. You make sure that they work and they kind of look okay on the character, and there's not any weird patches or bits missing or whatever. And, as long as you've done your UV mapping and whatever else, kind of okay. But actual maps, you're going to have to playtest and sort of get players to go, okay, I don't like this. It's too easy to stand here and shoot everybody, or it's too easy to do this, or it's too hard to get here, or do you know what I mean? Maps are a lot harder to do. So I think it's money, as everything is. I think it's costs too much to do a map compared to a skinning of a model.
That could be very
the model
true.
The game originally came with 20 operators, and they've now got 30 operators. So in 3 years, they've released another 10 operators, which is, you know, like 3.2 operators per year or whatever, on average. Which isn't, again, for an entire year's worth of work, to only release 3 operators, isn't a lot of work, is it?
But
Really?
if you think about it, it's a good thing because people can do it as the free-to-play way, because people can buy the game and then don't have to pay for the DLC if they don't want to. Pardon. So you have to grind for 25,000 renown in order to get a new character. So if they're well spaced out, I think a player would grind and get that amount of coins and actually get the character they want. So in a
Yeah, I
way,
mean, that's... Sorry, Uncle.
no, I was just gonna say, in a way, I see that as a good thing. But then again, from a perspective of a player, I'd want more, of course. I mean, I always want more. I mean, no matter what.
I mean, obviously, everyone wants more, and they want it for free. Like, you can't have everything for free, and you can't have everything the day you open the game.
Absolutely.
Having it behind a wall kind of adds that progression factor. Like, you have to actually, like any game, you play, I don't know, Skyrim. You know that awesome sword is at the end of all your travels, and that's the sword you want. You can't just walk in and take the awesome sword. You have to build your character up to the point where you can actually get to that part. And I suppose it's the same grind in a single-player game like Skyrim is in a multiplayer game. It's just set out differently. So you're seeing the progression of your strength, your stamina, your whatever, and you're building it up so you can fight the final boss to get the sword.
Yeah.
People are happy with that in their head. But as soon as you say you need to earn 1 million coins and you're going to earn 5 coins per fight, you then go, I don't want to bother. Like, I can't be bothered with that.
Yeah.
But I actually think it's really good. One of the things I loved about Rainbow Six was I got this game off the back of your recommendation, and so that we could do YouTube videos and stuff. But I sat and played it offline from you and YouTube, grinding out and getting some new characters, and I actually love the fact you can do that as opposed to buy them, because I would never buy them, because I'm just not a digital purchaser. I don't buy digital content for games, and I don't think you should have to buy digital content for games. The one company I hate the most, I'm going to go on record and say it, I hate Activision so much, because I won't buy their games anymore generally, because of the way they do things. Like, they re-released Call of Duty 4, right? They remastered Call of Duty 4. It took them however many years to do that. Like, they re-released it 10 years after its original release, or more than that probably. And when they released it, they then offered you DLC. They offered you a map pack to buy to go into the remastered version. And you're like, you've had all that time, you've had access to all the maps. You can't tell me that those maps weren't ready for release. You can't tell me that you couldn't have released Call of Duty 4 with every single map available in Call of Duty 4. You could have given us all the Modern Warfare 2 maps, you could have given us all the Modern Warfare 3 maps, you could have given us all the Black Ops maps, you could have given us every map you ever owned for the price of admission. But instead, they charge you 35 quid or whatever it was for the standalone. Originally, they weren't even doing a standalone. You had to buy their crappy Advanced Warfare, it's called, to get it. But then they released it separately. But they still released the map pack separately, and it's scumbag moves like that that really irritate me. Like, I don't mind paying for stuff. I don't mind buying games, because as a game developer wannabe myself, obviously I want to get paid for the work I do. But I just think, if you've developed 10 maps, release all 10, and then, if after the game's released and you then develop another 3 maps, and you go, okay, well, it's taken me another 6 months to do this, I need to pay for that 6 months of work, add a price to it. But you can't tell me that they needed to release another map pack, which is like 20 quid or something stupid. So I could buy the game, because it's on sale right now in the PlayStation Store, as of time of recording, for £19 or something like that. It's under 20 quid, but then you have to spend like another £11 or whatever on the map pack. So I'm going to be giving them £31 to have the full experience, and that's with a massive discount. That game is like 14 years old or something stupid.
I know.
Why am I paying like 30 odd quid to have the full experience?
And dude, can I just be honest with you? It feels nothing like the original experience. Just so you know, it feels nothing like the original game.
I was wondering. I was watching some videos of people playing. It sounds the same, but the fact they've added like the Call of Duty coins to it. So again, it's just like, oh, just give me the old game. Just
yes, as it is. Don't touch it.
Give me the old game. You know, I didn't play Call of Duty 4 because I wanted to buy coins. I didn't buy Call of Duty 4 and play it in 2004, I think it was released.
Yes.
And do all that kind of stuff. Then, because of whatever, like, I loved the game as it was. I hated it when they redid the maps. I think for Modern Warfare 2, they re-released the maps, updated. But they changed the thing because so many kids were complaining like snipers were having a too easy a job of sniping them. So then they started adding more doorways and more stairs and more bits and pieces so that these kids could come in and kill you. And it's like, no, that's not how it should be. Like, kids should have to learn that, yeah, if they're being sniped, then they have to go and take out the sniper, and they have to learn how to take that sniper out.
Yeah.
And that's by choosing a class with a sniper rifle and being better than your opponent. If you can't beat them because they're that much better, you have to accept the L, man. You have to accept people are better than you. You can't go into every game and win it, because then if every player wanted to go and win, no one would ever lose. If no one loses, no one wins.
Exactly.
It's just this mentality of, again, very American, and I hate to be disparaging to our American audience, but like, it's very American to kind of like have this, everyone plays like soccer or football and everyone comes away with a medal. No! The people that win, they have won, they're better than you on that day. It might only be that day, next day you might beat them. But on that day, they deserve the crowning glory. And to kind of go, okay, well, here's a medal for losing. I don't know, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And they've ruined Call of Duty for me, because they were just like, oh, well, all these kids with an SMG that like running around playing run and gun can't get to the snipers, therefore we're now going to change all the maps so that snipers can't snipe.
No, that's stupid.
But sniping sniper out of the game.
But yeah, I mean, for example, if it ever had happened to me that a sniper would get me, and you know, I was like, okay, he got me once, whatever, I respawn. If he got me twice, I'd be like, okay, he's definitely camping there. Not camping, but, you know, playing his game, whatever. And then if, you know, like, I'll spawn in with a sniper class or a long-range class, and I'll try and get him. You know, that's what the game is about. Adapting and, you know, moving on. You know, you can't just, like, be there like, oh, that guy is killing me, so I can't do nothing now. No, of course you can. They give you classes. Yeah.
Sorry, I was just saying, the problem with it is for someone like you and I, you thought to yourself, okay, I'll get a longer range weapon, whether it's a sniper or an assault rifle with a scope or something. You thought about how you're going to tackle this problem. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people that I played with didn't play as a team. Like, when I had a squad, and I did used to play in a squad, when I had a squad, someone would be like, right, I've been sniped by the same dude 3 times down the right-hand side, he's in the white building at the end. Yeah. So now everybody on the team knows where the sniper is, and they know which channel he's covering. Right? So then one of my friends would be like, right, I'm putting on smoke. I'm going to throw smoke down this alleyway. If someone else could throw smoke down that alleyway, and then we'll make 2 of us go up this side, 2 of us go up that side, 1 of us go through the middle. Do you know what I mean? We came up with tactics.
And that's the fun.
To deal with a problem. And that's the thing, is that a lot of people play an individual game in a team game. Like, I don't know why people play team deathmatch if they don't want to play as a team. I don't understand. It's you might as well just go and play free for all. I know why they want to do it. It's because in a team game, players are distracted by other players, and you can get easy kills. Like, your kill death ratio could be 4-2 in team deathmatch, but be 090 in free-for-all because you don't have the cover. They're just hiding inside a team of better people, essentially. But it's just frustrating that people don't think about it. Like, back in the day in Call of Duty 4, when the helicopters came out, nobody had a class with an RPG or a rocket launcher or anything on it. And that was the only way to get rid of a helicopter back in the day, was you had to take it out of the sky. But nobody ran that class. And it's like, I used to run it, but it took like 2-3 RPGs to take down a helicopter. So I'd spawn in, get one shot off, and then get killed, and then I'd have to spawn back in, get one shot off, get killed, in order to take the helicopter out. So I was taking it out on my own. It's like, dudes, like, if we were all firing rockets to this thing, it'd be over in seconds.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, just online players is just.
I mean, online gaming has changed as a whole, to be fair. I remember when before Call of Duty games used to put you into the game chat so you can talk to people, and you know, they were forcing you into communication. Whereas of now, like, everyone can be in their own party, doing their own thing, you know, nobody really cares. I don't know, I wish they changed that. And that's not with just Call of Duty, but with any sort of tactical shooters like Rainbow Six Siege, for example.
I disagree with you in as much as I don't think they should do it. I like the way they're doing it now, simply because, and this was something I was going to mention earlier when we were talking about the 18 rating on something like Call of Duty. I got more mouth, more abuse, more foul language from kids playing Call of Duty than I did anything else. And I ended up having to go into the menu and muting everybody, because back in the day on Call of Duty 4, like
Oh,
I said,
yes.
you were thrown into open communication with everybody in the lobby. There was a lot of racist comments I didn't like. There was a lot of xenophobic comments because there was Americans in the kind of like thing. A lot of British people having about Americans. And it's like,
Oh.
you know what I mean? There's no need for it. There's just, you know, they come from a bit different part of the world, but, you know, just starting on the guy or whatever else. And I went into one thing, and this American guy went, "Oh God, not a British guy." And you're like, I don't understand it. We haven't even fired a single shot yet, and already you're moaning at me.
Yeah.
Like, then, like, the whole way through the game, I couldn't enjoy the game because I've just got this guy mouthing off constantly. And he's clearly, I mean, the word troll is misused in this day and age. He clearly was a troll. He was clearly just antagonising me and abusing me because he could. So I like the fact that now when you go into games, pretty much everyone, I can just silence everybody if I don't want to, or I can just talk if I want to, you know, like, I like the VoIP kind of idea of press and hold a button so you can kind of communicate with everybody, or not.
Of
Like,
course.
if you want to, like, go, okay, there's a sniper on the right hand side, and then you can release the button and never hear them ever again. Like, you don't have to talk to them. And I do think players need that protection. A lot of girls, when they played Call of Duty, took a lot of abuse. Again, stupidly, and pointlessly. Like, I just don't, again, the gender divide, I just don't understand it. But
That's very true.
a lot of female people, as soon as they joined the game, were just abused. I wouldn't use the word harassed, because I didn't hear any sexual harassment and harassment and that kind of idea, but it was very much like, very disparaging remarks towards gender.
That's very true.
So I kind of appreciate the fact that they're protecting people by not shoving them into toxic environments with people that are clearly just trolling because they can. But anyway, I don't want this episode to go on too long, so we need to crash on. Talking about content and the content drops in Rainbow Six, we were going to talk about the devoid of content in Sea of Thieves. Microsoft's huge launch. They put loads of money into advertising. They did several Gamescom and various other bits and pieces. They had several massive auditoriums booked out, showing people. The developers of the game said it was one of their most ambitious titles to date. Rare is the developer, and they've said it's one of the most ambitious titles to date. And there's nothing in it. It's No Man's Thieves. It's exactly the same hype talk as No Man's Sky, about how much there was to do, and then when you play the game, there was nothing to do.
I know.
Did you play it? Have you played it?
I have not played it myself, but I have seen gameplay and reviews by various different people. One of them being Angry Joe Show, as many people may know. He does his reviews.
Shout out to Angry Joe.
Exactly. Shout out. Reach out to us. Maybe we could do an episode together. A podcast.
He's got a new Street Fighter board game out. If anyone's interested,
There you
you
go.
can go and support that on his quick Kickstarter.
There you go. That's a quick,
Can't wait for him
advert.
to go down
Yeah.
the middle of it. Anyway, go on, carry on.
But yeah, as a developer point of view, I do see what they've done with the game personally, because to create such an environment, it
Oh, the
is
scene is amazing.
yes, the environment itself is really good and difficult to make in that perspective, because me learning how to make like a small training ground environment. We other two classmates, it took us a lot, because you have to remember that each asset is made separately, it's textured separately, it's UV'd separately, it then gets assembled separately, and then all the lighting needs to be baked, and then all the cameras needs to be put in, all the wind, all the effects, all the terrain. There is so much work that goes behind it. Of
Oh
course,
man, I mean,
of course, if they were not ready for the release, then they should have not released the game in that state, because, okay, you have a gorgeous environment to walk in through and find chests and, fight other people on boats, but there's not much. But, one thing that my lecturer said is like, you guys, as developers, should appreciate games more. Simply because, how would you feel if you made that environment and spent, weeks and weeks and weeks and months even working on that thing, and then people tell you, oh, the game, there's not much there to do, because, I've personally witnessed, the progression and the system and the pipeline that it takes in order to create an environment, and may I say, our environment that we created is nothing compared to no what's the game's called, No Man Thieves or whatever.
this Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, Sea of Thieves. Yeah, but yes, absolutely a lot of work.
Well, see, the thing is, I mean, I don't think anyone's disparaging the artists or the
It's just
designers.
just the
developers as a
missions.
whole.
Yeah,
When you look at the sea and when there's a storm going, that's all incredibly amazing. Like, I love all the visual effects, like the gun firing, the ship sinking, all that kind of stuff. But the problem is that if you're not into PvP, it's a bit of a problem, because you have to kind of, if you see other ships, they can fire on you. You have to kind of fire back. But there's just literally nothing to do.
yeah, absolutely, and I totally agree.
But yeah, like, it's just one of those unfortunate situations where a really good idea, a developer, whether it's the designer's fault or whether, just hasn't offered players enough. Like, it's just amazing how many people have returned the game. Like, they sold millions of copies. They were touting how much they'd sold, how many copies they'd sold, and how well it was selling. But I think they've all been returned, because
I know.
there are still a few players out there that are saying, wait for the content drops, wait for the content drops. It'll be a really good game when the content drops. But you can't buy a game on the understanding that in 6 months' time it'll be 25% complete, in a year's time it'll be 50% complete. Do you know what I mean? Wait to release the game then.
Exactly,
Like,
that's what I was saying. Yeah.
To sit and wait. Like, if it was early access, you might turn around and go, okay, fine, I'll wait for my content drops, I'll wait for this game to be updated.
But can I tell you something? Something really interesting. This is what people felt of Rainbow Six Siege. This is a similarity that the two games had, in a way.
Yeah, no, this is why we're kind of bringing it all up in together. It's like the content drops and the bits and pieces. Will something like, because I've heard there's been updates to No Man's Sky. I mean, I haven't played it,
Oh, me neither.
against. But I've heard that they've done some stuff with that. But do you think that something like Sea of Thieves is really ever going to be more than what it is now? And how long do you think that will take?
Oh, I don't see it happening anytime soon, of course, because of course I don't know their sort of skills and what they want to make with the game, but from what I've seen, I think they've reached their goal, hence why they released it with those sort of mechanics, and that's what they wanted. Some sort of pirate simulator to an extent. But I think that it would take up another year for them to actually release any new mechanics and new features of the game. I don't see, for example, a player versus player mode or like team deathmatch. I don't see these sort of things being added, unfortunately. Perhaps a bigger map, that's what they might try and do, like more things to discover, more things to do on the map.
Okay, well, I don't want us to drag on for too much longer, so just a couple more questions before we kind of end this up.
No
So,
problem.
you're looking at the development of computer games, as I was saying, Call of Duty, for being re-released without all of its maps. The fact that developers are releasing, like a lot of people said about Destiny, that the storyline was changed and parts of it were ripped out to be sold as DLC later on.
Oh my
like
god.
the House of Wolves or whatever it was that was the DLC should have been in the game originally, and the developer ripped them out. And now with Sea of Thieves, a full production game touted by Microsoft as one of its flag bearers, like it's a exclusive thing. They're not
Yes.
releasing it on any other console or whatever else. It's only going to be Microsoft kind of based. They've put a lot of money into the advertising, but then they've put nothing into the development. So, is this like a trend? Are we gonna? It's quite scary if it is. But what do you think of this? Like, people just releasing a third of a game and then just going, yeah, don't worry, we'll offer you content you can buy later on to make it a full game.
Yes, but sorry, it's something that we're seeing a bit too much now in this gaming era. It's happening way too often, I think. Yes, this is gonna happen more and more, and games are gonna come out to the point where they're not games anymore.
I mean, it seems like more and more you're buying games in installments. Like they sell you an idea, like someone sort of says, I've come up with a really good idea for a new car, and you go, okay then. And they go, here's a tyre. I'll give you another tyre when you give me more money, and
Yes.
I'll give you another tyre when you give me more money. And it seems like they're just going
No.
to sell you your car in installments. And at the end of it all, you'll have this really amazing car, but it will cost you like £10 million because you've had to buy it all in installments. Like, I don't, like we said, the content drops on Fortnite are free. So the fact they released a very basic battle royale with not a lot in it basically didn't bother me because it was free to play, and I played it and stopped playing it and then played it a little bit again and stopped playing it and whatever else. But when you're releasing a fully paid game
Yes,
like
and
Sea of Thieves, No Man's Sky, and you're expecting people to pay top dollar for that, and then there's no content, and they sort of like go, okay, yeah, well, we'll be releasing content throughout the next couple of years. It's just like, what are you talking about? Like, how has this come to be a thing? How are people accepting this?
that's crazy.
Um,
Because one thing about games is that, when the hype starts, you want to play that game there and then. Because I'm like, okay, I really wanted to play Sea of Thieves, however, the game sort of died out. And, like, if you don't give me a game to play there and then when I want it, my interest for it is gonna go. So if you tell me, okay, this is what you can do with the game right now, however, in a year time, 2 years time, we add in new things. I don't even know if I'm gonna be here in 2 years' time. Do you know what I mean? I want to play that game now. Hence why I'm
do you know
paying you
what?
money for it. Yes.
Yeah, and like the same thing with, again, linking to everything we've been saying. Rainbow Six Siege, I bought it like 2 years, 3 years after its original release, after it had all the content drops, and the price was like, I think it was about £17.
Yes, very cheap.
That to me is a fair price for a game which only has one game mode, which is Search and Destroy. There's no way I'm paying full price for a third of a game. Most games come with that as just part of the game, not the whole game. So I don't think Rainbow Six was at all priced correctly on its release. It was a full price game, which is just nuts. And it's the same with Sea of Thieves. I really want to play Sea of Thieves. I think it looks really cool.
It does.
Really interesting concept. Really like the art aesthetic of it all. But for me, why would I give you £40, £45, £55 for that when I can just wait 2 years, let you drop all your extra content that you're going to drop, and buy it for £17?
I know.
It just doesn't make any sense to me why you'd like. I buy something like GTA 5 day one because it's already got enough content to warrant that. The fact they keep releasing new stuff as DLC every single month, it seems. We'll probably talk about GTA 5 in a future
Absolutely.
episode on this show. But yeah, like it's just crazy how some developers give you a full game for your money and some don't. That's really scary for the future. But talking of the future, we have run out of time. So is there anything else you'd like to wrap up with before we go?
Not really, to be fair. Just wanted to say that, Rainbow Six Siege, did have the idea, and they did go for it. They didn't have as much content as people thought, but it just grew because of its mechanics and how interesting the game was. So I'm glad, I purchased this game, and of course I will keep on playing it for, as long as I can. And I'll enjoy it, to be fair. I'm sure I will.
Cool. You got any info on what's happening on your channel for us?
At the moment, I'm just working on my final project. However, I am thinking now of sort of creating some sort of schedule, so I can fit everything in. And I will be back with more, videos, during the week. Perhaps live stream too. But that's all coming up soon. How about you?
Can we expect to see some Rainbow Six in there?
Oh, hell yes. Yes, you can.
Excellent. Again, for me, I still haven't sorted out my schedule. I still haven't sorted out when I want to release content. I still haven't sorted out what content is going to be released. I know it sounds stupid, but it's a lot to think about. We've kind of got Mr. Bramz Monday kind of podcast, which you're currently listening to, sorted out to a degree, but I'm just not sure when I'll do the stream, if I'll do the stream, because I kind of want to do some streaming, but to get viewers involved in what we're doing. But with a real life to handle, it's kind of difficult to find time to
Very
kind of
true.
get that in. And then it's what other game people would like to see played, whether it's a single player experience just to see us go through it, whether it's more multiplayer where you and I can get together, or maybe we can get some other people in and do some multiplayer stuff. I don't know. I just don't know because I haven't been able to arrange what that other thing is. It'll only be 3 shows a week probably because I don't have time to do more than that.
But that sounds plenty of content for me to watch. And
Indeed.
other people, of course, to watch.
Yeah, I mean, if the channel grows, we get more subscribers and we get more views and we get more everything, then obviously we can talk about more shows and more whatever else. But for the minute, 3 shows a week once we have the schedule sorted. At the minute, it's still only one show a week, it seems. But yeah, we'll kind of do more. But that's the future of the channel for us.
Indeed.
Not much left to do, but thank Mr. Bramz for his time and his knowledge on gaming here.
Oh, no. Thank you for having me on the show, to be fair.
That's all good, man. You can catch Mr. Bramz. I'll probably link his channel down, but if you go to my channel, he is under my recommended or whatever channel anyway, so you can go and find his channel and catch his content. We do a lot of stuff together, but he does stuff separately to me. So if you're into FIFA, he does a lot of FIFA stuff and whatever, and does some tutorial videos every now and then.
Yes, indeed. Well, of course, if you're watching the video from my end, of course, exactly the same story that went for, me. So you can find his channel in the description, literally everywhere of every video, and of course of my channel page. You'll find him there too.
Cool. Right. So if you have bothered to get to the end here and listen to the whole podcast, thank you very much for your time.